It is January 24th, Friday afternoon. I think it is like 3:33. That was in military time. I had to decipher what that was. 3:33 on Friday afternoon. And we have just stopped at the first rest stop of this trip, and I hope the last rest stop before we arrive at our destination. And the destination is Albany, Oregon. I say Albany, but I think it might be pronounced Albany. Anyways, in Albany is a square dance festival this weekend. I believe it actually maybe started yesterday, but Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday is a square dance festival. Midwinter square dance festival, and it's a yearly event in January. And the last time I went, it was maybe as much as 6 years ago. So it's been a while, but here I am. I wanted to go again this year. So I think we have maybe an hour and a half more of driving to do, something like that. We've been on the road since about 11 or 11:30. So that is what is happening right now. Behind me you might see a square dance dress hanging up. Blue and green, I believe, are the colors for this festival if you want to get dressed up in square dance clothes. Blue and green. So I brought a blue dress and a green skirt. But I think what they wanted is for people to actually dress up in the dance attire of different cultures around the world, which is interesting, but what would that mean? Like, you have to develop an entire costume? I think most people would rather just wear their square dance clothes within reason, and if that. So I'm not going with cultural dance attire from countries around the world. Yes, I'm at the first rest stop to stretch my legs. I was getting hungry. I ate a cookie, and I used the restroom. Again, almost every time I ever go on these types of trips and have to use a public restroom at these rest stops, yes, I'm thankful that they exist, and there was soap and water and toilet paper and a lock on the door, so this was a decent rest stop. But I don't really like using these restrooms. Just, it doesn't feel clean, really. And I don't know about you, but have you been, if you're a girl, have you been in have you been in public like the women's restroom, and experienced this? I have experienced this more often than I would like. You know, I kind of thought that maybe women were a little more cleaner than men, and maybe they are, but I cannot count the number of times that I have been, in there, and I can hear noises, that other people are also using the restroom, and then they're exiting the restroom before I do, and there is no noise whatsoever of them washing their hands, running water, that type of thing. And I'm surprised. Like, I guess that means they're using the restroom and they walk right out without washing their hands. To me, that's disturbing. Women doing this. Maybe I could comprehend a man doing this for some reason, but women walking right out, not washing their hands, I don't understand it, and I want to wash my hands, because I touched the lock, on the door. Like, who touched that before me and after me and whatnot, Anyways, the experiences in public restrooms, yes, that is my little story of this, at this rest stop right now. Yes. Oh, I should mention, we're already in Oregon right now. I'm coming from Washington State, and we have traveled south and crossed the Oregon-Washington border, and now we're in Oregon currently. But yes, I am trying to get to the hotel in Albany that I'll be staying at. And I guess I'll just see you again when I get to the hotel. So we just made it to the hotel room, and brought in all the bags and stuff we brought. So it's good to have made it this far safely. I think I'll just show you around this room, which isn't much to look at, but I mean, I don't stay in hotel rooms that often. So this is the door. I hung up the square dance stuff already. A sink area, bathroom, shower, the bed, and over on this side the TV, and sort of a sitting area. A small refrigerator, microwave, just some counter space here, stuff we brought, and a sofa, and over here a table with stuff on it. So now that I'm here, I think I'm going to eat something, because it's like a little after 5 o'clock and I haven't eaten much today and I'm hungry. And I went ahead and made some food at home and brought it along with me, just because I didn't want to have to eat out if I didn't want to. So that's what I'm going to do at this point. And I will see you in a bit. So this is what I'm wearing. I'm all dressed up. This is one opportunity I get to get quite dressed up. So, yeah, I've just got the blue dress under this. I'm not going to take off my coat now, but, yeah, I'm ready to go and do a little bit of dancing.
2025 Midwinter Festival. Thank you so much to Julie and the committee for having us here. It's a great pleasure to be here on the other side of the world. My beautiful partner Kim is right down here in the front. And we can't wait to meet everybody. We've been told there's 800 people we've got to meet this weekend, so come up and say hello sometime and I'm sure we'll get through all 800. Okay, are we ready to dance? I don't know most of you, so I don't know where the good dancers are, so... Gee, there's some confident people out there, wow. Well, here's your chance to impress. Right back. Forward each chain, go straight across. You turn the girl, join your hands, circle the bullet. You're moving all around and bang the ladies in the men's sachet. You circle the bullet to say the ladies in the men's sachet. Left down man, woman up. Box for that big partner. Four girls promenade inside. Go around, turn around. Turn the partner right. All the way around to the corner, out and left, right the left brain, go! Promenade back home. So far, so good. Head pair, square through, only got to get four. Good. Find your corner, touch quarter, scoot back, scoot back, girl, on the boy. Everybody walk to it in the come on back. Touch quarter. 45 on the girl. Starting through. Everybody pass through. It's hand for line all the way through. Face in. Move up to it in the come on back. Pass through. Hand for line. Face in. Starting through. Pass to the centre. Square through. Three in the middle. Go. Look to the corner. Out and left. Hurry home! And solid slip to the right. Everybody be relaxed. Okay. Tyler Parker corner to Alabama. Watch the net. Hang on, right, left, brands are all the way around. Take the Parker corner line. Alabama. Right, left, brand. When you meet her, you should be. All right, 10, square to 4. Right, left, turn. Veer to the left. Couple circulate. Chain down the line. Up to the middle and back. Star through. Pass through. Trade by Alabama left. Come back to square your set. Should be. Just ahead, ladies. Chain across. Head couple. Pass through. Separate. Go around 2. 2. Move on the end. Line of 4. Up to the middle and back. Box the net.
So I'm back in the hotel room now. It's a little bit after 10 o'clock, I believe. And so I did a little bit of dancing there. I didn't get any footage of me dancing, but I did a little bit of round dancing and square dancing. It was okay. I think the turnout is less on a Friday evening than it will be tomorrow night on a Saturday evening. But they started the evening dancing with a little ceremony. Like some Boy Scouts walked out with the Oregon state flag and the United States flag and whatnot, and they had a little ceremony before the dancing started for the evening, and then they played the national anthem, and then the national anthem of like 3 other countries, which was interesting because some of the callers or I think the cuers or the clogging instructors, they were from different countries, so I guess to like honor their presence there tonight, they played the national anthems of the countries they were from. So we ended up listening to the national anthem from Australia, the national anthem of Germany, and the Netherlands, and our own national anthem for the United States. So that was a little interesting. I didn't know the national anthem for Germany sounded exactly like a hymn from like church. Sounded exactly like it. I think it's the same tune. I thought that was interesting. I didn't do a ton of dancing just because suddenly, by the time I got there, quite suddenly, I realized like I had no more gas in the tank, so to speak. Like my energy level dropped suddenly after traveling today, driving, preparing for this trip yesterday and even the day before, and just everything. Suddenly, by the time I got there, I was tired. So I left a little bit early and came back home, and then I got cold. Because it's cold outside. It was below freezing. So then that made me even more tired, and all I wanted to do was get warm. And here at this hotel room, there's this, what seems like a huge bed. I think it's a king-size bed. Anyway, as I suspected, so far, this has been the best part of the trip so far, just sitting in this bed, warm, under the covers, just resting here, doing nothing. So far, that is the best part of this trip so far, as I thought it might be. And I ate before I went dancing, and that was good. What I brought, I had made basically like refried beans, and then like Spanish or like Mexican rice, and then pork, like all Mexican style. So that's what I brought, and it was really good. I ate before I went dancing, and then when I got back, I was tired and cold, and I ate some more. I ate cookies. I ate mixed nuts. I ate chocolate, and I have like a cup of hot tea. So yeah, that's been, as I say, that's been the best part of this trip so far, sitting in this bed and eating and staying warm. But tomorrow I expect to be better, even dancing wise, than today has been, because I think I might get to see a friend at the dance that I haven't seen in quite a few years. By quite a few years, I mean like maybe 6 years or more. And I met her at this dance originally all those years ago, and she lives in Oregon and I live in Washington, so it's not the easiest to see each other. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. Tomorrow I get to see her again after so long. And we've kept in touch, writing each other letters, which has been fun. Like actual old school type of writing letters to each other, which I enjoy. That's been fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her again tomorrow at the dance. I don't expect to go dancing all day. They have dancing all day. I only expect to go in the evening. So during the day, I would like to explore this town a little bit, Albany. There's supposed to be some kind of carousel in this town that is something to see. A carousel, you know, like a merry-go-round. I would like to ride it. You know how a carousel usually has like horses? Well, this one has different animals. And in some pictures I saw, there's supposed to be a tiger. So I want to ride the tiger. That is my one goal for tomorrow. Other than that, I would like to explore whatever else is in this town.
I want to see the Willamette River.
And Chris wants to see the Willamette River. So, yes, and then tomorrow morning is breakfast in this hotel, which is free, like continental breakfast or whatever they call it. So that is like from 7 in the morning to like 10:30 or 10, something like that. So, that is the update for today, Friday night. So anyways, I will just continue to relax here, eventually go to sleep so that I'll be ready for tomorrow. It is the next morning. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock. I took a shower and now I'm ready for the day, basically. I did not sleep good last night. I woke up so many times. And by the time I did start to sleep well, was towards morning, and then it was time to get up. So we'll see how much energy I have today. So I took a shower. Have you experienced this where you use a new shower and it's like a thing to try to figure out how the shower works and how to regulate the temperature and that sort of thing? That's what I encountered this morning. It seems so complicated, even though it's not. I'm just used to my shower at home, you know. But a hot shower felt good, definitely. So I want to do a little bit of exploring today. We'll see how that goes. At the moment, it's time to go eat breakfast. I'm not hungry, but it's time. So I guess that is the next step.
Easy.
his dad and he were carving carousel animals throughout Europe since they were in Germany. And when he turned 18, Dad told him, you're going to the United States, you're going to make your fortune, the streets are paved with gold. Most of these are either donated or on loan from the Denzel family. Because the Denzel family, especially Bill II's wife, collected all things carousel. And they had a small house, so like you have a giraffe in the hall and and then, a lion in the bathroom. So they wanted a place where the public could enjoy the animals. They'd be safe, well taken care of. So as long as we behave well. And he wanted to work with Gustav. Problem is he didn't speak German. Gustav didn't speak Italian. Nobody spoke English. But he managed to belch out with 3 words, Carver need job.
Yeah.
And they worked together for 25 years, so I guess they worked it out.
Yeah.
Did he ever live in Germany?
Working like in a meat packing place, you get to learn Spanish. Now, the Denzels, it wasn't just direct descendants, but can I have you cross this for me? The one right there. See how much detail is in the fur?
Oh, yeah.
Now, each one of our animals has a sponsor, and very often you'll see a touch that the sponsor made. So they might have their grandkids' names carved into.
Yeah, I've seen
and
that.
it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. When you go upstairs, you can like see names carved in, or little things that reflect it. Like for instance, the eagle over there, and he's down in the corner there. They're gonna have the grandkids' names carved into the feathers.
Oh, that's nice.
And he's got a jackalope. She's the postmistress. And she will get hands.
I made it home safely. It is now Tuesday, so a couple days after getting home on Sunday. And overall, the trip went well. It was a busy weekend. Not the most relaxing weekend I have ever had, but I'm glad I went. I did have a good time. Probably the highlight of the weekend was getting to see my friend in Oregon who I hadn't seen in 8 years. That was probably the highlight of my whole trip. Of course, it was fun to dance too, but I don't think I would have traveled that far to go to a square dance if my friend wasn't there. Other than that, I did enjoy the carousel. I enjoyed the carousel quite a bit. It was kind of amazing how much work they put into that thing. Like I had a short tour of their workshop / museum area, and all of those animals are carved by hand with no power tools. They're all carved out of wood by hand, and I got to see a little bit of that happening in their workshop. And they paint the animals as well. The tour guide was very informative and told us how the paint on those animals is stippled on. They stipple on oil-based paint, and then they coat it with some kind of clear coat to protect that. But she was very specific in saying how the oil-based paint was stippled on, and then they coated that with some kind of clear coat, because she said if they brushed it on with like water-based acrylic paint, it wouldn't hold up. Apparently, she said that some other carousels have painted their animals that way, brushed it on with water-based paint, and it has not held up, and they've had to repaint their animals. So, and then that whole carousel thing, the running of it, and the carvers, all of it is a volunteer run. Overall, it just was better than I expected. It just seemed very clean, very well planned, very well designed, everything. You know how if you've seen enough in life, you can tell when a thing is done well? It was like that. It was like that. Or if, in my experience, if you've been to enough car shows, or if you've had any kind of experience at all in having a hand in restoring a thing, whether it be a car or something else, you have an idea of what it might take to make something, or you have an idea of seeing things designed / restored well versus something that was done poorly. So you have some sort of basis of having seen things executed well or not executed well. And this carousel, it came off as a thing that was executed well. And like I said, it was volunteer run. So they had volunteers that were helping the public when they were in that facility and in their gift shop, and the tour guide lady was a volunteer. But you know, one thing I noticed is that all of the volunteers, as I would expect, liked being there. Like they didn't seem like they hated being there, so that came off as them being more engaging and friendly. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't a 9 to 5 that they were forced to be at, and so that might show in like an employee's attitude, like they hate being at their job, and you can tell they hate being at their job. But it was different this time, where it was all volunteer run, so I assume they volunteered obviously to be there, and it showed. Like they were happy to be there. They were Do you know what I mean? It came off much different than someone who's forced to work at a job to make money. Like they volunteered to be there. It showed. It showed in their enthusiasm, which was nice to experience, and nice interactions with people. You know what I mean? Of course, most of the people riding the carousel were small children, but I did spot a few adults, and one of them was me. So it was overall, that was fun. I enjoyed that quite a bit, and of course I got to ride a tiger, which is what I wanted to do. I was a little, I thought they could have made the tiger bigger. The tiger on the carousel seemed a little bit small, but there was this old carousel tiger downstairs where they had their small museum. The size of that one seemed much better. That's what I would have expected of a carousel tiger. The size of it was much bigger and it looked a little more fierce. Also, some of the old carousel animals that they had in their museum, they had glass eyes. I thought that was interesting. Looked a little more realistic. But overall, yeah, that carousel, it was impressive. I enjoyed that. If you're ever in Albany, I would recommend going there for sure. We went and saw the Willamette River. We went to a different river first and thought that was the Willamette River, but that was not the Willamette River. And then in the evening, we went dancing. The drive home was fine. There was something that I found interesting. So when I started from home going to Albany, I started with a full tank of gas. And I was surprised at how much gas I used going there. Less than I thought it would be. So my car, it's like a 1996, I believe. 95 or 96. I think it's a 96 Buick Park Avenue. And okay, I started with a full tank, and when I got to Albany, I only used a quarter of a tank. A quarter of a tank. I thought at least I'd use half a tank, maybe more. But a quarter of a tank, I was impressed. I thought, is there something wrong with my gauge? But then I did the same thing coming back, like from Albany to home. I started with a full tank of gas. And but when I got home, I used about half a tank coming home. So I don't know what the difference was. I almost wondered is there more uphill terrain coming home versus going there, or I was driving faster on the way home. And I may be mistaken, but I thought that the faster you go, the more gas you use, maybe. But anyway, I was overall impressed with the miles per gallon my car was getting. So that's about all this video is, just a little bit about a trip I took to a square dance festival. I prefer that my videos are more about growing in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in reference to God and things of God. That is the purpose of this YouTube channel. But I do throw in a few things that are more lighter, and just things I do that I enjoy and I think are worth taking a video of. And so I thought, okay, is there something spiritual that I could tie to this video to make it worth something more and more in keeping with the purpose of this channel? But you know, there wasn't really anything. Nothing super spiritual or like some deep lesson really to come away with for the most part. And I thought about that. I wasn't too pleased with that initially, but then I thought, here's the lesson. Here's the lesson here. Don't push it. Basically, if God hasn't given you something to share or talk about, then don't. Then don't. I believe, I might be wrong, but I thought Jesus said something that about the things he did while he was on earth, that he did what he saw the Father do, or yeah, that. So I'm thinking, if the Father wasn't showing him or telling him what to do, that he didn't just go do it then. I don't know if I'm saying this clearly, but do you know what I mean? If you're not getting a lead, if you're not getting a directive from God, then don't. Then don't push it. Don't make it happen. I don't want to lead. I want to be led by the Lord in what I say and do, and especially things I say and do in regard to God. I mean, I could push it. I could think of something on my own to add to this video that is somehow biblical or spiritual in nature, or like some lesson. I could push. I could think of something. But I don't want to be the one pushing. I want to be the one following. And if the Lord hasn't given me something to add to this video specifically, then don't. That is my lesson. That is my lesson to add to this video, I guess. If you're not feeling led by the Lord to share something, then don't. I think that is as important as sharing something. If you don't have something to share, then don't. If you have something to share and the Lord is leading you to share it, then share it. But if you don't, then don't. I think sometimes keeping your mouth shut is just as important as opening it, depending on the situation, depending on what the Lord is leading you to do. One tidbit that I can share, I guess. If you travel much, I don't travel much. I like traveling, but I don't travel much. When I'm in a strange environment amongst strangers, I have appreciated it when someone is kindly towards me, either in helping me find, like, directing me where something is, or informing me about something. I don't know how much I can say I am an actual foreigner in Oregon. I mean, I live in Washington State, but still, yes, it's still the United States. I'm not exactly a foreigner, I guess, but I mean, it felt unfamiliar, at least. It reminded me of, I believe somewhere in the Bible it does talk about basically being kindly to foreigners. That came to my mind as I was in Oregon amongst unfamiliar surroundings and around different people. I was maybe even more appreciative of any kindness from other people in that environment than I might even be at home in Washington State. If someone is kind, I appreciate it. I like that. But I mean, it felt even more significant to me when I was in a strange environment and feeling a little unsure, to get to be treated kindly by people in a strange, unusual environment for me. For some reason, it just made me think of in the Bible where it does actually specifically say to be kindly to foreigners. And I was just thinking about that, and maybe it does feel particularly vulnerable for a person to be a foreigner in a land land. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting that that the Lord thought to put that in the Bible. Another tidbit I can share is that so I hadn't been square dancing for several months before I went to the square dance festival, so I felt a little I wasn't quite sure how I would perform executing the calls in a square dance or in a square, just because I hadn't done it for so long. So I felt a little unsure of how I would do, but I got in a square and the callers started calling, and I started doing what he said to do, and I found that I didn't have any problems dancing mainstream. I did not even attempt dancing plus, but I found that I didn't have any problems with dancing mainstream. It kind of came back to me, a lot of muscle memory, I'm sure. But I find that this happens repeatedly with me. I mean, the calls are coming pretty quickly. There's not a ton of time to think. You're expected to do the thing, to do the call as soon as it's called, pretty much. It's moving along pretty quickly. And some callers also, I remember, this festival reminded me of this. I remember from the past as well. Some callers are they call a little bit different than others. Their timing, the timing of the call. I think most I'm talking about something that I'm not an expert at, so bear with me. But I think most callers that I have danced to, their timing is fine, is good. But it's what I'm used to as well, where I feel like they'll give me a call. I am pretty much able to finish it before they give me the next call. The timing is right as it's needed, practically. I might barely be finishing the previous call before the next one comes, but to me it feels like I am able to basically complete a call before I'm told what the next one is, and I like that. Or maybe it's just that I'm used to it, and that makes me feel like I like it just because I'm used to it. Maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm used to. But I remember now, some callers, they give me a call. They'll give the whole floor a call, not just me, but they'll give a call, and then it's like you just start to do it, and they'll give you the next call. So the next call comes sooner than what I'm used to. So basically, you're given a call, you're in the middle, you're just starting to execute it, and then you're told the next thing. So it's like you have to store in your memory what the next call was, because you're still doing the previous one. It's like it's ahead of time, a little bit ahead of time. I'm not finished yet with the one you just gave me, and then they're giving me another one that I have to remember, I guess, as I'm finishing the previous one, and then I can do the next one, and then by that time they're giving me another one. So it's like layered. It's not as easy for me, because I have to not only execute the one they just gave me, but now remember what the next one is, because they already gave it to me. It's not what I prefer. Maybe if I was used to it, I wouldn't mind it, but it feels a little, I don't know, it's almost like I can't quite enjoy executing the one thing when I'm already given the other one to remember while I'm trying to do the first thing. Maybe this is confusing if you haven't done any square dancing, but what my point was, I remember now that I did have a point in bringing this up, is that put a little more pressure on me to dance well, and there were other things that put a little bit more pressure on me to dance well that I don't need to go into. But at these moments of feeling a little bit more pressure, I reflect back on the person, the caller who taught me how to square dance, who, yes, I do think quite highly of, because he was such a good teacher, an excellent teacher. So at these moments when I'm in a square dance and I feel a little more pressure and this feels a little more hard to do, my mind, where my mind goes is I'm reflecting back to the person who taught me how to square dance. And I feel very thankful, very grateful that that is the person who taught me. That is the person who taught me so well and gave me a very good, an excellent foundation. Because without that, to me, if I wasn't taught that well, I would feel lost. I would feel, when these moments of extra pressure happen during a square dance, where my skill, my memory, my knowledge of the calls would be slightly tested. If I didn't have that solid foundation of being taught well, I'd probably mess up. I'd probably have more problems than I do. And I feel grateful for having such a good foundation, for having had such a good teacher, because when I go out to square dance and I'm a little more tested, that foundation comes through. Whereas I feel like if I didn't have such a solid foundation, when tested, when pressured, it would fail. I wouldn't be able to execute things as well as I do if I didn't have such a solid foundation of good teaching. So I am very grateful. That happens more often than I would have even expected. That when I'm square dancing, I can feel that the pace is faster, maybe, or maybe the caller is calling a little different than what I'm used to. Maybe a different environment. Maybe other people in the square are messing up. That different factors put a little more pressure, test me a little bit more. And in those moments, I am very grateful that I had such a good teacher who gave me such a good foundation to work from, to operate from. Because I feel, like I said, if I didn't have such a solid foundation, such a strong foundation of being taught how to square dance, I don't think I could perform as well. I think something would fall apart. It feels secure. So at the mainstream level, plus is another story, but at mainstream level, I feel fairly secure, which is a nice feeling. Feels nice to feel like, okay, my foundation here is solid. I can call upon that foundation in certain times of a little bit of testing. And and I also want to emphasize how grateful I am that exists for me. Because I observe that others didn't have that, and it shows. Or they're a newer dancer, and maybe they, just from perhaps sheer lack of experience, may be having a little bit of trouble, but that's understandable if it's just lack of experience. So, okay, so I'm very grateful for having a solid foundation of being taught how to square dance. I'm grateful for my teacher. And I'm thinking, if I feel that grateful, that thankful, that glad that I have that kind of foundation in regard to square dancing, and I can see how important that is in when I square dance, how much more thankful, how much more glad, how much more and important it is to have a solid foundation in regard to, how do I even want to say this, in regard to Christianity, I guess, or maybe in regard to God. Having a solid foundation, having at least a solid foundation of basic truths. Do you know what I mean? And to be taught well. To be taught well. Again, many a time I see how terrible poor teaching is because of the results. Results of poor teaching are terrible. Particularly when it comes to, poor teaching in square dancing is one thing. You can see the results of it. But it's temporal. The terrible results of poor teaching in a spiritual way can be they can be eternal. They can have eternal consequences, which is much more serious than temporal things. And so I guess, what is my point in all this? My point is, if you have a solid foundation, a godly solid foundation of truth, that's a wonderful thing. That is a wonderful thing, because there's things in life that come and test it, try it, and you will find yourself trying to call upon your foundation, the foundational truths about God, about you, about this earthly life, about what we can expect after this earthly life is over. There will come testing moments in life where you will call upon that foundation you have, and it is a wonderful thing if you have a solid foundation to call upon. Otherwise, I feel like when it's tested, you won't stand very well. So I guess I just see that in square dancing, and I can correlate that to spiritual things, our spiritual life as Christians. There's a correlation there. And so if you do have a solid foundation, that is something to be very thankful for. Even more thankful for the people who taught you well. And yes, I believe the ultimate and best teacher is God Himself, is Holy Spirit. Even so, Holy Spirit can use people to also be teachers, and I am grateful for them. Good teachers. Now, I don't think everyone can be a good teacher. I don't think everyone can be a good teacher. I think even the Bible alludes to something about that. Something about that there shouldn't be many teachers, or something like that. And of course I agree, because I have heard plenty of poor teacher, fewer good teachers, and that's a disturbing thing to see, to realize. So I hope that we have discernment to seek good teachers, to listen to good teachers, and not to listen to poor ones for our own sake. And going back to that first thing I said about if you don't feel led by the Lord to share something, then don't. Don't push it. Don't make it happen under your own power. Because you could, like I said, I could think of something on my own to share in regard to God, but I don't want to. I don't want to think of something on my own, under my own power. I want to be led by the Lord and share what He wants me to share, not just what I can think of on my own. Going back to that, I think part of that is related to the thing I just said about teaching. I'm wondering how many teachers are actually teaching something they feel led by the Lord to teach, or are they thinking it up on their own? I am not going to say it's always this way, but pastors that preach or teach or have some sermon each Sunday morning, sometimes I do wonder if they have something from God to share every Sunday for 40 some minutes, because I think that's certainly possible if God wants to do that. But I'm wondering how many pastors feel dry one week. And I'm not saying there's anything particularly wrong with not having something to share at any given time. You know what I mean? Maybe you just don't have something to share, and that doesn't equal something bad. I'm wondering how many pastors feel dry on a given week and force something out under their own power because they must meet the obligation of delivering a sermon on Sunday morning. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm wondering how many times a sermon is given because they were led by God to, or how many times a sermon is given because they must meet the obligation, and whether the thing came from God or not, it will be pushed because they must meet the obligation of delivering a sermon on Sunday morning. Like, is it really inspired by God, or is it inspired because of the obligation? Because there's a difference, is what I'm trying to say. There is a difference between following a lead from the Lord and pushing something to happen under your own power. And it is a wonderful thing if you know the difference. It is a scary thing if you don't know the difference. I have tried that before. Not in a video, but in writing I've done, where it did feel dry. It felt dry. I didn't have an inspiration. I didn't have a revelation to share. I didn't have something from the Lord. But I thought, well, I should probably write something, I guess. So I tried to push it under my own power, trying to, out of my mind and my own whatever amount of skill I might have. And it was so difficult. It was terrible. It was like so hard to make it happen under your own power. And then thank God, I believe the Lord used that to teach me, showing me the difference. It is much easier to follow a lead from the Lord and flow with Holy Spirit in writing or whatever the Lord would have you do, than try to make it happen under your own power. Because in myself as a human, I don't have something to share like that would be significant and important. Do you see what I'm saying? I am a vessel, not the source. So it's a little hard when the vessel is trying to be the source, because it is so, there's like nothing there. So anyway, yeah, if I guess, I mean, not I guess, I know that if the Lord isn't directing you, then don't. Now that takes some discipline too. That takes some discipline. It takes some discipline and a gentle touch, some sensitivity to realize, oh wait, I am not feeling led by the Lord. I am not feeling directed by Him. I am not feeling directed by Holy Spirit. It takes a gentle touch to realize that, and then be like, okay, I won't then. I will wait then. I will sit still then. I will keep my mouth shut then, if I am not being directed. Particularly, I'm trying to reference like things of the Lord, things you might do that God would want you to do or not want you to do. I'm not saying that I need a directive from the Lord to decide whether to wash the dishes or not, or like I don't need a specific directive or lead from the Lord to like do the laundry. Do you see what I mean? I'm talking mainly about when you're operating in spiritual ways. So I guess I won't prolong this too much more, but I do feel sorry sometimes for pastors who may be, in a way, stuck between a rock and a hard place, because yes, that is their job now, which I don't even agree with how that is set up, that a pastorship is now a career or something, and they're like the main guy at church or something like that. I don't even agree with how that's all set up, but I do sometimes feel sorry for pastors who they are expected to deliver a sermon every Sunday, come rain or shine, whether they feel dry spiritually or not. That is the expectation that is put upon them, and in a way that they have signed up for. And I don't think that gives much freedom to really wait on a directive or lead from God. As I said, I'm not saying this is that way for everybody. I do believe it is possible that God could speak through someone every week, but I tend to think that is not what is common or what is usual. And so I do feel sorry sometimes for pastors who are stuck in this place where there's expectations placed upon them that in the end their obligation to meet these expectations may in the end mean more than actually being led by God. Because they have to meet these expectations. So either they don't meet the expectations and be like frowned upon or something, or they meet them under their own power. And like I said before, I'm not really seeking to hear what a man can scrape together in his own mind, under his own power, with his personal skills, and can teach me about the Bible necessarily. Do you know what I mean? I'm seeking someone who is a vessel that the Lord can use to speak through. And again, I mean, I've talked about this several times before, I feel like, but the way that the Bible describes what should happen when the church is gathered together is very different than what I see happening when the church gathers together. So I feel like in those days, in those times when one guy might feel a bit dry, maybe doesn't have something to share specifically in the usual way of a 40-minute sermon. Maybe when that isn't what the Lord has for him for that specific day to do, there would be other members of the church body there who may have something to share or may have something from the Lord to give, to edify the body with. So it doesn't, all the weight doesn't have to be on the one guy all the time. All the weight doesn't, that's not even what the Bible describes as what should happen necessarily when the church is gathered together. But I guess we can just throw that out the window. I guess we can just throw what the Bible says out the window of what should happen when the church is gathered together. I mean, that's what I see happening all the time. And I'm not actually saying that can be thrown out the window, but in effect, that is what is being done in almost every church I've ever been to. I shouldn't even say in every church I've ever been to, but in every basic congregation, group of believers that I have been to, we do not, the outline of what takes place when the church is gathered together is not followed. It is not followed. So in effect, it is thrown out the window. I'm not saying it is good that it is thrown out the window. I think it is bad that it is thrown out the window. But in effect, it is thrown out the window because of the apparent structure that has been adopted by man of how a gathering together of the church should go on a Sunday morning. And yeah, as a result of that, all this excessive weight is placed on one member of the body, typically the pastor. And I don't even agree that it should be that way. And I don't agree with that it should be that way because that's not even what the Bible says. But again, I guess that can be thrown out the window. So these are my closing thoughts on this video. I did I guess get to share some things spiritual in nature. And Lord willing, I guess I will just see you in the next one.